a few important announcements for your intention. Firstly, we would like to request your cooperation to ensure that your device camera is on throughout the event. Guests are also requested to register your attendance by filling up the attendance form that will be available at the end of the session. Guests are also invited to participate in the Q&A session with our distinguished speaker at the end of the presentation. And lastly, guests are welcome to stay tuned to your screen until the end of the event. Your cooperation is highly appreciated. Thank you. Now, before we begin our event, we'll play the national anthem, Lagu Negaraku, and UEM's anthem, Lagu Biruana.
Kami anak alam insan Tuhan, membara langit biru mencari ilmu, berteman kebudimanan, bina nusa bina dunia sejahtera. Uni utama ibu yang tercinta, kami doa lanjut usia bahagia. Kami janji hormati pesanmu, ilmu budi dan bakti. Kami anak alam insan Tuhan, membara langit biru mencari ilmu, berteman kebudimanan, bina nusa bina dunia sejahtera. Uni utama ibu yang tercinta, kami doa lanjut usia bahagia. Kami janji hormati pesanmu, ilmu budi dan bakti, ilmu budi dan bakti.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning I bid to everyone. First of all, I'm Ashraf Daniel, and it's my pleasure to be the MC for today. On behalf of the organizer, we would like to extend our warmest greetings to Mr. Josh Wong, our guest speaker for today, management team of GDSE UUM, respected team leads and team members of GDSE UUM, respected guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the today's webinar organized by the Google Developer Student Club UEM chapter entitled Blockchain Technologies, How Does It Affect the Future Industries? Blockchain, what is that? I am sure that most of us didn't know what is blockchain. Without prior knowledge of blockchain technology, people cannot compete in this fast-paced world and will be left behind. So today, let us learn and gain more knowledge about blockchain technologies and how does it impact the future industries. To begin this session with his blessing of His Almighty, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Zulhusni bin Shukri to lead the dua recitation for the Muslims and a moment of silence to the non-Muslim.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. Let's start our program today by reciting Kitab Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad Ashrafil Anbiya wa Mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam wa ilayka ya'udu salam. Fahayyana Rabbana bisalam. Ya salam nusamina ajma'in wa ja'alna min ibadika salihin. Ya Allah, Ya Rahim. Praise be to God, the Lord of the worlds. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions and for those who follow his example to the judgment day. Allahumma ya Allah, on this blessed day in conjunction with the blockchain technologies, how does it affect the future industry? We beseech stay and grateful towards you in favor of all the infinite blessings to us, your humble servant, to live a safe and prosperous life. We seek your blessing for flawless progress of this event, from the beginning till the end. We seek your guidance to stay clear of events that would detrimental the progress of this event. Ya Latif Ya Rahman, please bless us with your tawfiq and hidayah. Please guide University Utara Malaysia to greatness, peace, glory, and prosperity in this world and hereafter. May us a responsible intellectual grant us with valuable knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your madatilah. May us a wretched servant that follow your commands and neglect the sinful act. Please forgive us for our wrongdoing. Ya Munzila Barakat, bestow peace to our beloved country. Preserve us from any threat and disaster, neither man-made nor natural disaster. And to you, Ya Allah, we ask for security and prosperity upon us, our leaders and our country. Bestow patience in us in order to face the challenges from you. Please accept our deeds and please reward us accordingly. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Zulhusni, for the dua. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin with today's webinar, please allow me to introduce you our guest speaker, Mr. Josh Wong. Mr. Josh Wong is a business strategic, techpreneur, and investment advocate over the past decade. Currently, he is the Chief Executive Officer for Reactive Labs, focusing on blockchain advisory, project management, and development of NFT digital assets and goods. Concurrently, he is the subcommittee chairperson for NFTs and Metaverse in Access Blockchain Association and the Chief Technology Officer for Finance Asia. His early MSc corporate career, for example, in Sony Malaysia, saw him managing up to a 120 million Malaysian ringgit business portfolio, winning international, domestic, and international awards for expressive business growth and marketing innovation in the process. Prior to this, he has ventured into more than 20 plus startups and initiatives from retail to publishing and most notably in the investment and blockchain space. He has managed a variety of investment-related firms, supported the growth of regional investment community, and even successfully completed an ICO in 2018. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Josh Wong to begin with today's sharing session. Please welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me during this very special morning. Let me just share my screen. Thank you so much. So today I'm going to be talking about blockchain technology and how it impacts industries through decentralization. So I believe many of you, a lot of this might be new. And I hope that if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. There are no bad questions, right? So just ask even if you think it's a stupid question, but of course related to the topic today. Okay, so a quick intro. Yes, thank you for the intro. I just wanted to share a bit about what I do in the very many different businesses I'm in. So of course I run Reactive Labs, and in Reactive Labs, I actually predominantly I do blockchain advisory. And I help people to structure their blockchain businesses. So, and I meet clients every week and I guide them on how to develop everything from the funding strategy all the way down to the kind of development. But most importantly, I help them to design what we call tokenomics, right? Which is token economy. And why is that important is because there are many cryptocurrencies and NFTs in the space, which is actually scams, or they are poorly designed and designed to fail. So, and that's the reason why the space has a very bad image, because a lot of people are very, the market is promoting it that it's too casual or too easy to make NFTs. And it's true. In a tech sense, it's very easy to issue an NFT. I can do it without any coding knowledge. I can put my own NFT out. But what's really important is actually what kind of value that you create for your NFT. What kind of value that the blockchain or cryptocurrency or NFT that you issue or sell or offer will be for the buyer. Because when we sell something, we have a responsibility to give value to the buyer, correct? Even if you are selling art. And that's a very important thing that I could talk about as well, if you can ask if you're interested in the art side of things. So that's one of the main things I do. I currently advise on a wide variety of companies. I advise on the metaverse company. I also advise on an upcoming play-to-earn blockchain game. So if you're interested in those kind of gaming industry, I'm also quite familiar. I'm also involved in REITs, crypto REITs, where we are tokenizing real estate using blockchain technology and selling it in the form of cryptocurrencies, shares in a share format as an asset token, right? And I also am involved in a lot of other up-and-coming startups. And the list of my clients continue to grow as this space is growing more and more. So to put you in the perspective of the potential in the market, if you compare to about a couple of years back, doing what I do, clients are hard to come by. This year, due to the massive boom, I have more clients than I have time to service them. So my business is also growing exponentially as the market is growing. So we are reaching a very important stage, which I'll talk a bit about in the next slide or so, right? Concurrently, I'm also the subcommittee chairperson for NFTs and metaverses in Access Blockchain Association Malaysia. So Access is the premier, leading, and the first and foremost blockchain association in Malaysia. And we have been dealing with the regulators since the beginning, years ago. And we have been working to lobby and create favorable policies for the adoption of blockchain in a safe manner. And my role there is I focus a lot on promoting about NFTs. I promote a lot about metaverses, and I also promote about how businesses can go in. And I like to do projects and like game hackathons, etc. To promote the space. So that's what I do there. And also I'm the Malaysia Growth Lead for the Sandbox, which is the largest metaverse in the world. So I'm in charge of the Malaysia side of things. And of course, these are my socials. They're all real. You can add me as well if you're interested to know more. That's my gaming and my Discord handle. So you see that, that's me. Okay. Some other experiences that I wanted to highlight. These are, I have done more than 40 over roles in my life, if you check my LinkedIn. So I'm not even making that up. Probably more than what I show in LinkedIn, but I couldn't list out everything. So I've done quite a fair bit of things in my career. But I wanted to highlight that this was related to stock markets. This is the property market where we deal with options. We help people to save their homes when they're going bankrupt. I've been dealing in precious metals, fractional ownership. I've applied for licenses with the government for a few different platforms. And also I've done an ICO. So if you realize all these are actually, I'm just highlighting some of my financial background. It's because one of the things you also want to differentiate in the market is that there are many people who are crypto maximalists. And what I mean by crypto maximalists is, to them, they pray to the church of crypto, right? Everything with crypto is correct. So they don't have a balanced view of what the traditional market requires, the traditional industries require, and also the crypto. Whereas for me, I'm a person in both worlds. I'm very deep in the traditional finance, traditional tech, but I'm also very deep in new tech and new finance, right? So, and I like to bring that perspective. So even when it comes to how we analyze blockchain companies, and one of my jobs, previously, especially when I was in a token fund, was to do due diligence on new blockchain startups for investment, right? So if you're not familiar with due diligence, it's where we do research and study on the companies to determine whether or not they are fit for investment. And in my case, if you are in the investment space, you will know that there is fundamental and technical analysis. Now, the common misconception in the market is that you cannot apply fundamental and technical analysis in crypto because of the volatility. And that is not true, right? Everything I share with you today is based on fundamental analysis, right? Fundamental analysis is more of a long-term strategy where you look at the underlying value of a particular business or asset or investment. And technical analysis is the study of charts and graphs to determine the short-term and the mid-term price trajectory of a particular stock or investment. Now, and I highlight these two things is because firstly, they are mainstream tools, okay, in the market. And they are very widely used around the world by any kind of analyst. But the issue is that most analysts in the market focus on the preset process or techniques. They don't focus on the core concept. So what I mean by that is that, so in technical analysis, you look at charts, right? So they will have tools that calls like moving average, support resistance lines, etc. I don't know if any of you are in the finance space, but they will have all these tools. So and they will have different chart patterns, head and shoulder, blah blah blah. They have all these chart patterns already set. So they only look at the tools, but they don't understand why those tools were created. And that's the reason why a lot of people are very poor at analyzing crypto markets, is because their skill level is only based on how to use the tools. They don't understand why the tools were created. When you understand why, you are able to analyze and understand crypto projects better. You must understand why the tools were created, use that same logic, forget about the tools, and apply that logic to crypto. If you're ever going to analyze a blockchain or cryptocurrency project in the future, you need to think about it like this. This is the secret to understanding why a project works and don't work. And fundamentals is also the same. Again, people are in an example of the why versus the tools. The why is to understand the underlying value, which means we want to understand the value of the blockchain project and their founders and what do they do, what's their strategy. That's the underlying value, and whether or not they have the funds to achieve that goal. But the tools is looking at balance sheets and all that, and all the financial data. That's the tools. But the problem is, in many cryptocurrency projects, there is no balance sheet. There is no such documentation. Some of them don't even have a company. How do you invest into a business that doesn't even have a company set up for it, right? And that's why a lot of fundamental analysts fail. So this is a bit of a mindset background. I want you to understand that you got to forget about the tools. You got to think about the why, and then use that as a way for you to understand. And that makes your understanding easier about why blockchain technologies are so disruptive in the coming decade, okay? So this is something that I wanted to establish beforehand. Now, this is probably the main slide I'm going to share. I didn't make this slide, but anyway, it's a very important point when it comes to our overall understanding of impact to industries, blockchain industries, and also how it will affect the future of work. And this is a huge, huge thing to understand. Now, if you go in the market today, you will hear a lot of people talk about Web3. Web3 is something that most people actually don't understand, okay? But the core technology, or one of the main technologies behind Web3, is blockchain. And that's why I brought it up. But let me just differentiate between the three segments of Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 for you to understand a little bit better for those of you who are new to this, okay? There are a lot of technical explanations, okay? But I don't want you to get confused by the technical explanations, all right? So Web 1 is where the internet is read-only. So what it means is read-only, which means that you as the user, when you go on the internet, you do a Google search. You search for something, and then all you do is you see information and you read it. The information is one way, okay? It's one way. So it comes from the creator, which is these companies, and the information is presented to you one way. And that was the start of the internet era, where people were just searching for information. So if you search for your favorite makan place or food place nearby using an app like Food Advisor, for example, then that is a Web 1.0 kind of way, where the information is directed to you, presented to you by one singular company who has done all the food reviews, right? So that is one way. Okay. Now Web 2.0 is where we are in today, where almost every single web service is Web 2.0, where the communication is two ways. So how it works is that, so let's say, and the input is also from the user itself. So there's an input, right, of information. So in Web 1.0, the input of information comes from companies, right? But in Web 2.0, the input of information also comes from users. So very simple example, YouTube, right? YouTube is a platform, but the content, some of it is made by YouTube, but 99.9% is made up by users themselves. So the input of content is by the user, and you have a way to communicate and give input as a viewer as well. So you watch YouTube and then you have a comment box and you are able to interact, you can like, you can share. That's the point where we are called Web 2.0, where the user interacts with the content as well. You don't just read it, but you can also feedback and forward and stuff like that. So that's Web 2.0, right? Very simple. So Facebook, Instagram, Dropbox, YouTube, all these logos you see here are all, even your WhatsApp Messenger, Facebook Messenger, you know, all these different technologies are all Web 2.0. Now, the commonality between them is that they are all run by major corporations. Hence the word centralized, which means all your data that you input, whether you are a creator or you are a user, goes to a centralized database or a company to manage that data. Okay, that's called centralization. So that's a key word. That is where all your information, all your value goes to a central company. Now, Web3 is where things get very interesting, where we are at the very start. We are so early in this space right now, where there are no middlemen. So you see, when you create a centralized body like YouTube, YouTube is a middleman, correct? You go to YouTube to access the content. They're a middleman. They're a form of a middleman. They're a digital middleman, right? But in Web3, there is no middleman. The middlemen are removed, right? And I'll talk more about that in a moment. So that's the key thing. And instead of the ownership of the platform is being held by one single company, the ownership is held by all the participants of the platform. And this is a big distinction, okay? And that's why we call it decentralized. The ownership of the data, the content, even the business is being shared by all the users and creators, right? All the responsibility of management is also shared. And there's no intermediary because most of the intermediary processes are managed by the blockchain. And that's where it's interesting. That is why banks are going into it. That is why so many different institutions and enterprises are now looking at Web3. You know what's the funny thing? Web3 technology comes from blockchain and decentralized ledger, distributed ledger technology, DLT. They're all blockchain technology. But because the industry doesn't like the word blockchain, doesn't like the word DLT, because it seems like a dirty word. The moment Web3 became a term, suddenly all the enterprises are looking at Web3, not blockchain, but actually the technology they're looking at is blockchain. So this is a very funny thing. It's because in the market, people didn't like to look at blockchain because they felt like, you know, in the early days of blockchain, all these enterprises said that this is a scam or it's rubbish because they don't understand the technology and the application. And why would enterprises say that? Because enterprises are Web 2 companies, most of them, right? The Web 2, if they promote Web 3 or blockchain technology, they're actually hurting themselves. So there's a conflict of interest. Many companies came up to say, Web 2 is the best, Web 3 is bad. But they never called it Web 3 that time, they called it blockchain. So they've been calling it bad for so many years, right? Since 2015, to be very, very honest, that suddenly they all realized that this is a natural progression. You can't stop this from growing. So now, in order for them to, admit that they were wrong, but without admitting they were wrong, they will tell you, oh, I am in love with Web3, but I'm not sure about blockchain, which is very ironic because most of Web3 is being built using the blockchain. So this is something interesting for you to understand, like why so many international analysts would say stuff like, oh, I'm not for blockchain, but I'm for Web3. It's because they actually have to admit that blockchain is the future, but they don't want to admit it. That's the only reason. It's quite silly, but there you go. The ones who really understand the technology can tell you, yeah, Web3, almost most of the functionality comes from at least the concept or the technological structure of a blockchain. Whether it's a private blockchain or it's a public blockchain, it doesn't matter. But the point is, you're using that same concept and tech logic in order to develop. So this is it's just so that you don't get confused, because if you go out there, you'll be reading like, hey, why people are still negative against blockchain, but they're all positive on Web3. This is the main reason, okay? So let's go into the details. The first thing is about no intermediaries. And to me, that means two things. It makes things cheaper, it makes things faster. You will notice that I share a lot about this. So there are many platforms that reduces intermediaries. So let me give you the YouTube example of what I mean by no intermediaries, right? Now, YouTube is also starting to put like high quality production shows by Warner and stuff like that. Okay, so these production companies or these movie or studios are releasing content and using YouTube as a channel. Hence, YouTube is an intermediary. Now, some might argue you can build, Warner can build their own platform, which they are. They can build their own app and they can make it available to the market without needing to go through YouTube. So many companies are doing that. HBO Max, Warner's doing them. If you talk about comic books, Marvel, DC has their own app. That is a way to reduce or remove intermediaries. You don't rely on a third party to distribute your content to your user. All right, so no intermediaries. What does it do? It makes things cheaper, it makes them faster. Of course, there's the whole marketing aspect of it. So this is not so much of a DLT or blockchain or Web3 thing, but it is one of the things that it makes it interesting. Is the blockchain can remove more intermediaries. So in terms of that, like movies and music, etc., you can go direct, okay? But what about things like payments, which is one of the examples that I will be giving out, okay? So I'll explain that in a moment, okay? So payments is where I want you to understand about the no intermediaries part, how it's different than, let's say, the regular way. Now, you need to also add the second thing, which is decentralization. Now, decentralization actually means how a business is controlled and how the returns are rewarded. So I'll give an example on this, okay, in the next slide. So, but the general idea I want you to understand, when you talk about decentralization, is who is in control, and how are the profits shared, and how are the work shared as well. So that's where decentralization comes in. Okay. Now, if you notice, I put all these numbers here is because these are NFTs I own, and these are the actual NFTs. You can search for them if you're interested. Okay. So and the unique thing about decentralization, okay, this is very, very, very important about decentralization, is that anyone can join into the network. Okay, if you can afford it, lah. So let me give you an example. This is like one piece, right? And then there's another rower with one piece. You could buy the hardware or the software of that one piece and just connect into the blockchain. So that's where a key component of decentralization is as well, which means, right, that let's say today, I want to be a part of the sandbox, okay? All I need to do is buy land from anyone, and then I'm already part of the DAO. The DAO is a DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization, is a structure whereby token holders can vote on the decision making or the direction of a platform. So if you want to be part of this decision making for your favorite game, let's say you play an online game right now, okay? Let's say you play World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy Online or any of these online games, okay? And even Roblox, right? You have no say as a player as to what happens in the game, right? Like what they develop, what's the new stuff that's been, you have no say. You can complain on Discord, you can go and tell the Blizzard or Activision or whoever is in charge of the game that they are terrible, they are launching new content which sucks, you don't like it, you know, that kind of thing. You have no say. But if that control of the direction of a company is created in the form of a DAO, and then they issue NFTs for it, and or a token for it, and you own the token, suddenly you have voting rights. You can tell the World of Warcraft guys, they can put up say, I want to launch a new expansion, these are the things, these are the details of the expansion. You can vote yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and the community votes. Now, if you are really a gamer or player-centric platform, now the gamers decide, okay, I really like this idea, let's vote yes. I really don't like this idea, I vote no, right? So can you see that just a very small thing, but changes the entire experience of playing the game, okay? And it's a very simple thing. So in many of these metaverse or blockchain games, the DAO is based on the land. You buy the digital land. Because you own a plot of land and the land in the game is limited. Like in the sandbox, there's 144,000 plots of land, okay? And this 144,000, the moment it's sold out, you cannot buy any more land. So the landowners of the game, they are now the landowners, right? So they if without land, you can't do anything in the game. You need land. That's why suddenly they have voting rights. So if you want to be a voter at the end of the day for this game, you need to own land. And anyone can own land as long as someone sells it to you. The moment you buy, you plug in. Okay. The other example is I'll use the other examples to explain this as well. So let's talk about Bitcoin and talk about money. Okay, I'm not going to talk about is digital gold and all that. Okay, that's an opinion. Okay, I don't think it's digital gold, but that's my opinion. But what makes Bitcoin interesting is who are they disrupting? Which industry are they disrupting? And my answer to you is they are actually disrupting two entities. The first is not really a disruption. They are trying to circumvent central banks or Bank Negara. Okay, I wouldn't say circumvent. They want to go around. Why? Because you see, right, when it comes about money, I don't know how many of you understand how money works. Okay, money is a piece of paper which is issued by a central bank, which is backed by the promise of the central bank to repay back in a way. In terms of they back the value. Okay. Because paper by itself has no value, right? Beyond the paper value, which is cents, all right? But you buy it because whether it's a US dollar or a ringgit or whatever, it's because of the people are doing trade, right? With a country. And the value of paper money largely depends on the economic strength of the country. Make sense? So let's say, for example, US dollar, very strong, price very strong against ringgit. Why? Because more people want to trade with the US, and US only trades in US dollar. Therefore, people need to buy US dollar in order to trade with the US, making it stronger, right? The value of it equals to the economic strength of a country, right? So you can understand. I mean, it's not a 1 + 1 = 2, but that is why the money has value. But central bank also controls the supply of the money, right? They control the supply of the money through the banks, right? There's many mechanisms. I won't go into detail, but just so you understand that central banks control the supply of money. So money, if let's say the central bank wants to stimulate spending, they will create more money. It's economics. You cause a little bit of inflation, put more money in the market, people will spend money because money is available. And of course, they control interest rates and all that. So whenever you see the word inflation of 3% or 5%, what does it actually mean? Inflation to me is really a financial word, but what it just means, right, is that the central bank is issuing more money by let's say how many percent. So let's say I choose to increase 5%. Okay, 5% more money in the market. That means, right, there is more 5% more money, but you see, more money doesn't mean that the value of things changes. That means my webcam I'm talking today, the value to me is the same price, the same value, sorry. So when you increase the quantity of money in the market, but then you reduce, but the value doesn't change, what happens is the value of your money drop, correct? Because the value of the item doesn't change. The price will be adjusted based on inflation after a while. So and to many crypto maximalists, this is a manipulation of the market. Now, is inflation bad? Actually, it's not really bad. There is a reason for it. But if in the hands of certain governments who don't control their inflation and they keep just printing money, that's why if you read in your history books, when Japan occupation, they got banana money, right? Banana money is a very good example of what I mean. Why today 1,000 yen is worth about 30 over ringgit or 40 ringgit? And why is the denomination 1,000? It's because during that era, they keep printing money. They said, I need money to buy things, so I just print more money. But the value of the item doesn't change, so the value of the money dropped. That's why now you got 1,000 yen, it's only worth $30 to us, you know, that kind of 30 ringgit to us. So this is the reason why those numbers exist from history, you know, because these people just printed money, but printing money doesn't increase the value of money. The value of the item you buy is the same, but the amount of money is value drops for the money. So, and Bitcoin was designed because they felt that governments were irresponsible, right? Well, you simply print money, you keep making us poorer. Because you see, your money stays the same. They print more money, and then your salary doesn't go up, right? That follow that amount, right? That's why there's a law that you have to actually increase people's salary same percentage as the inflation, right? To offset this additional money printing, right? You know, there's a reason why your salary increment got minimum, is to offset inflation, right? If they don't, you just get poorer every year, correct? So there's all these reasons behind this in the grand scheme of things. So they didn't want a money that's controlled by government. That's why they created the cryptocurrency, which government cannot control. It's controlled by people. It's controlled by miners. The Bitcoin mining, I can explain that, but it's a long topic. And the quantity of the money is fixed one. That means the moment all the Bitcoins are mined, there is no more Bitcoins anymore. And because there's this scarcity value, that is why Bitcoin price is so expensive now. Because the total quantity of Bitcoin cannot change, but the value of Bitcoin to people is going higher, so the price is going up. You see my point? So that's one of the things. They're trying to circumvent or create an alternative currency to sovereign currency. That's why so many governments have an issue recognizing Bitcoin as money, because Bitcoin's intent was to go against the central banks in a way, right? Or an alternative to the currency issued by central banks. So that's one industry is disrupting. But let's look at another industry that's a little bit more interesting that most people don't talk about with the creation of Bitcoin. They are disrupting payment intermediaries. Okay, how does that work? Now, the biggest payment intermediary in the world is Visa, right? You use Visa, so you should know about if you got a prepaid card, you got a credit card. Visa is the world's largest payment intermediary. They will help in terms of conversion. They will help in terms of actually verifying the payment. So what's the Visa's job? Visa's job, when you go and make a payment, right, at any merchant with that Visa machine, right, what it does is it automatically reads your account and determines whether or not, or your credit, and determines whether or not you can actually afford to pay for something, correct? That's Visa's job, because Visa doesn't take your money. Visa actually acts as an intermediary to verify and to ensure that the money that you pay goes to the correct recipient. So that's Visa, all right? And Bitcoin, and you see all this data, this transactional data goes to a centralized company, which is Visa, all right? But with Bitcoin mining, what happens is, what Bitcoin mining doesn't actually mine, for those of you who don't understand, Bitcoin mining uses graphic cards, okay? And they don't do any physical mining. But Bitcoin mining, what it does is that it actually verifies transactions. That's its job. So instead of having one company verify all transactions that you are doing, now you have millions of Bitcoin miners, and each Bitcoin mining machine verifies transactions, decentralized. And anyone can be a Bitcoin miner. All you need to do is to buy a Bitcoin machine, mining machine, connect it to the Bitcoin network via the software, and immediately you are part of the network of verifying transactions. You become a Visa network. You don't need to ask for permission. You don't need to figure out. You can learn everything yourself and just connect, and you're automatically a part of the network. So that's what I mean by the previous slide, right? As long as you have the hardware or the software or the requirements needed without any what's that called? There's no company. You don't have to ask a Visa for permission to be part of the network. So you can plug into the network and start earning from the network, which is something you can't do. You can't earn any money from Visa, can you? Right? All that transactional verification, the fees you pay to verify transactions is all paid to Visa. The 5% merchant fees, the 2% transaction fees are all paid to Visa. Visa earns the money, doesn't share any of the money. But in blockchain and cryptocurrency payments, what it does is it allows anyone to benefit from the transaction fees, right? By investing into a Bitcoin miner. Now, of course, this is a bit of a monopolized business, but it still doesn't stop you. You can buy 10 graphic cards. If you know the software, you put it into your hardware, you connect it, you start earning Bitcoins. That's how it works. And that's the unique thing about decentralization. It's a fairer system. Anyone can participate. Another example is servers. As you know, in the market, and this is where, again, blockchain is kind of disrupting this industry, right? Is Filecoin. So Filecoin is actually a server blockchain, server space blockchain system. Okay, so the idea is that the biggest cloud servers in the world is actually by like guys like Amazon. Even I use Amazon for my websites, etc., and also a lot of my data that I store for my mobile apps that one of my companies do. And we use Amazon. Again, Amazon has a large server farm. They have massive amounts of servers, and because you don't want to buy your own giant server, so obviously you use Amazon cloud servers for your own applications. I'm sure if any of you are in mobile development and stuff like that, you would know that these are the cloud service providers. So Filecoin is also decentralizing this. And why you use Amazon is because they have the money to buy all the servers, right? And you don't have the money to buy this giant hardware of servers. So Filecoin created a decentralized system where anyone can buy the servers, plug in, and provide IPFS server cloud servers service, right? And for me, because I plug in and people are renting the server space from the network in the form of cryptos, I also benefit by earning for the amount of server space I provide to the network. That's the Filecoin mining. You don't actually mine. How you earn the cryptocurrencies is by connecting to the network with your own server. And you can have servers anywhere in the world. So this is also a way to illustrate the power of what's that called, the crowd, which means that if you want to compete with Amazon, either you need a lot of money or everyone can chip in their small amount of money and fight the big fish, right? And all the profit is shared by everyone who provides server into it to fight against Amazon. So this is another disruption in the cloud service providers space, right? And this is huge. This is extremely large money. Why? Because the entire internet revolves around server space. Without server space, none of your content goes up. Your YouTube, people are putting millions of hours of content per second onto YouTube, and all that requires server space. So the demand for server spaces will continue to rise and rise and rise. It's never going to drop one, right? It's aggressively required. So this is a growing market that you don't see. This is happening right now in the space, right? And I'm invested in Filecoin. And it's just passive. I just put money into the servers, I connect it, and then I just leave it. I don't even manage it. And then I earn from it because it's a shared. A few of us, like 20 of us, shared to buy a server. One guy manages a server. And this doesn't impact the environment, not like Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining uses a lot of power, electricity. This doesn't. This runs the same amount of power as a standard server in the market. So that's why it's more sustainable. By the way, sustainability is a different topic, but I'm not a Bitcoin mining supporter because it's too old and it's very bad for the environment. It's not the worst, like compared to like flying aeroplane, all that, it's probably worse in environment, but Bitcoin mining is definitely harmful compared to any other blockchain. That's why I don't support Bitcoin mining, man. Okay, I'm one of those people, but I support mining in general. There are sustainable, low power, doesn't harm the environment kind of blockchain mining projects. This is just one of them. Okay. Another example. Now this is again interesting. Is because it's a DeFi product or decentralized finance. So what is decentralized finance? And finance is a big segment or industry that will be disrupted now. Decentralized finance is whereby it's basically financial products, whether it's loans lending of money, etc., but decentralized. And how is it decentralized? So Aave is one of those that I use. And so let's say I have money. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is that when you put money into a bank, you are actually giving money to the bank to lend out to other people. That's how you earn interest, right? Have you ever wondered how you make your 1 or 2% in your bank account per year? And that's because you deposit money, the bank uses it to give out loans, and that's how they earn money in order to pay you. Make sense? Okay. So and that's what your cash is doing, especially when you put into fixed deposits, etc. So your cash is allowing the bank to go and lend it out. So when I save money in my bank, right? Because I'm an investor, my brain thinks like investor. To me, putting money in the bank equals to investing into lending business. All right. But most of the profit goes to the bank. You put in the bank 1 year, you can make how many percent now, right? It's so low because the market is bad. So the interest rates are very, very low. But with Aave now, you can go into the crypto lending business. You can deposit your cryptocurrency and allow people to borrow it automatically. Anyone can be a lender. You can go in, put in your cryptocurrency, people can borrow it, and then they do an automated collateral management so that people don't over borrow and stuff like that, so that you don't lose your money, and then you earn interest from it, and all the profit goes to you. So you are now providing lending services yourself, and the amount you provide is any amount. So here's the thing: you don't have to be a millionaire to be a lender, right? You can be few hundred ringgit or 1,000 ringgit, and you put it there, and then you can actually benefit from it, and probably make way more interest than a bank, because majority of the profit goes to you, whereas a bank, the majority of the profit goes to the bank. So centralized, decentralized. Decentralized is you take most of the profit, you see, and you control. You can control, like for example, I want to lend money from now until the end of the month, and then or I want to lend out for 3 days. You just put it for 3 days. 3 days later, you take up, and you will still earn for the 3 days. So the control is all in your hands. Whereas in the case of many banking systems, because they need to hold your money for long, that's why they got fixed deposit. They give you more interest because you leave your money there longer so that they can lend it out more. You see? So that is the reason why the concept of fixed deposit exists. Okay, I know it's a lot of finance, but you must understand finance affects you as an individual, and these are technologies that are there. I'm not saying straight away go into lending business. Okay, this may not be compliant and stuff like that for certain things, but I'm just telling you that this exists in the market. Aave is licensed in a certain jurisdiction, but not in Malaysia. So theoretically, we are not supposed to handle this, to use this. I'm just giving you a concept, right? But in crypto space, if you have cryptocurrency lying around, you earn it somehow, it's free, you want to put it into lending, this is actually one of the platforms that they do it. Okay. So you can imagine right now, right? This is very unique because you don't actually rely on a centralized company to help you to manage. It's all automated. Aave doesn't manage either. Who borrows the money? It is all automated. All Aave does is KYC, or know your customer. It's a banking term whereby in order to comply with the law, of course they have to do this legally. They will get your customer data, and they will actually make sure there's a reporting to a central authority. So that's what Aave does. But Aave doesn't market the product. Everything is automated. The process is automated and it's instant. And that's where the blockchain comes in. So this is another example, and this is a growing lending protocol, right? Now, a more easier, lighter one in the relation to art. Okay, which is a lot of people looking at NFTs and they think about art. Although NFTs is not just art, there's many applications of NFTs, but I would just use the art reference. So OpenSea has become a disruptor in the art scene. So if you're an artist or a digital artist and you want to sell your artwork, I've been in the art industry before, one of my many roles. And art is incredibly hard to sell, especially in Malaysia, because our understanding and appreciation of art is terrible in Malaysia. But do you know what's the most interesting thing? Malaysia has extremely talented artists. I remember once when I was doing magazines, I interviewed Mark Murray, Kampung Mark Murray, I think at Pulau Ketam, right? You may not know them, you may not seen them, you may not even went to the place before, but because I was a journalist kind of person at that time, I run a magazine, I published a magazine, I was interviewing all these people. The Mark Murray are one of the world's famous wood carvers. They carve art with wood, right? And the stuff they make is amazing. But here's the funny thing. You go to Kampung Mark Murray, you buy one of their artwork, right? They'll sell you, let's say, 200 ringgit. But if they sell the same artwork international, right, it's 2,000 ringgit. The reason is because Malaysians don't appreciate our own art. But internationally, people love our art. We have amazing artists. So platforms like OpenSea is enabling artists to reach to a global audience. That's really the main thing, right? Without an intermediary. Because you sell direct to the buyer, the art buyer. That is why so many of my artist friends over the years, they all don't like crypto, they don't like blockchain, but the moment NFTs come out and then they saw that they were getting a global audience, they've never had thousands of followers for their artwork before, when they just focus on Malaysia, when they just focus on art galleries. And that's who they're disrupting, they're disrupting art galleries. Art galleries in Malaysia are like vouchers because they have the access to all the customers. So the artists have no choice but to use the art gallery. The art gallery takes 50 to 60% of the revenue. The artist takes at most 50% on it. So you can imagine the artist spend hours, weeks, months to create one artwork, sell for 8,000 ringgit and only get 4,000 ringgit. That's a very normal scenario in Malaysia, right? So with so platforms like OpenSea are allowing artists to benefit not just from the initial sales, almost 90% or 95% or 98%, but they also benefit from every subsequent sale that happens for their artwork. So they sell one time, but every time that artwork gets sold, they still get commission. They still get royalty. You don't get that with normal art. And that is where platforms like this. So if you're an independent, you're a digital artist, and you're looking to break into the space, and you realize that you have great work and you're willing to do a lot of online marketing, put your artwork on as an NFT on OpenSea, and you get your artwork out there. So this is where this is a huge disruptor even in the art space. Another one is membership. Okay, membership. So membership is very interesting because right now when you're going to talk about clubs, you want to join a community, right? And clubs give you benefits. There are digital clubs now, and they are disrupting how clubs memberships are being managed. Membership system. NFTs disrupt membership system. Because you know why? If you join a member, you got this members card, right? And then you got to go to a clubhouse, you got to show the club the card to prove that you are a member so that you can benefit from the facilities, correct? Even you have your student ID, it's the same thing. You have to prove that you're a student before you can use your student facilities. In the digital space, that's hard to do. How do you verify membership? So they create login, username, signups, all this kind of stuff, right? But with NFTs, you don't need to do any of that. As long as you own the NFT, you just connect your wallet, it reads your NFT immediately. They know 100% that you are a member because you own the NFT, you can access all the services. So Llamaverse is one of these examples, okay, that I have. It's a membership for investors. It's a very funny thing. They call it Llamaverse. Don't ask me why. They just like llamas, so they make the thing called Llamaverse. The NFT space is funny that way. And then you get to access all their investor services, etc. So this is an example of just the system of verifying membership can be used this technology, and that creates a very unique because it disrupts. Because don't think of it as what, but membership verification systems is a business. And that business is being disrupted as well in a small way. Another one, I'm addicted to this, unfortunately, because I'm a basketball fan. And NBA Top Shot is actually what made NFTs famous. And I buy NBA Top Shot every day. Okay. NBA Top Shot disrupts the trading card business. You know, people buy the collectible basketball cards, you know, they buy baseball cards and stuff like that, right? And they are monopolies, companies that make these cards that are being sold. It's actually a very big business, especially in the US, in terms of collectibles, right? As a youth, in my teens and into my 20s, I like to collect stuff like this. But then, you know, when your house don't have so much space, or you're gonna lose the thing. So after for a while, I stopped collecting. But NBA Top Shot brought it back. First, it was in a digital medium. Secondly, it's extremely tradable. Third, instead of a picture of the player, it's actually a video clip of them doing a 3-point shot, a slam dunk, an assist, a steal, etc. So it's more dynamic, and they are and they can do more activities. Like last time, you buy trading cards, all you want to do is buy a rare one and you sell, right? But these companies, they now can create activities to make more fun with it. Some of them link to fantasy. There's a French one, which is the client of mine. They do fantasy football, right? So you buy the card, but it links to fantasy football so that they can score points and have leaders. So they make gamification out of their trading cards. You see what I mean? Which it didn't exist last time, and they can benefit from it. They can earn something from it. Blah 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 blah. So this is also another example of that, right? NBA Top Shot. And I think this is the last example of mine. Let me check. Yes, I think so. Okay. So last example of mine, this is actually my NFT, right? So I actually like luxury watches, Rolex, you know, Patek Philippe, that kind of thing. I love them. It's a passion of mine. I like collecting them, although I wish I can own more. But we actually sell luxury watches as NFTs. So this is another disruptor in the market. We call this the digital goods economy, right? Whereby you create an NFT, but the NFT is backed by something real. The real item can be property, it can be anything tangible, collectible shoes, and in my case, luxury watch. So these watches are deposited by investors. They just want to sell the value of the watch. They deposit into our vault. I issue an NFT. They trade the NFT, right? Because watches, the value go up very strong one. Can go up 20% per year, 30% per year. It's many times better than investing into your bank account. And what's that called? The safety is very high, because even if the price didn't go up or any issue, you still own the watch. You get what I mean? And you can sell it. So the safety of your funds is very, very high. And that's why I like luxury watches. I've never lost money on luxury watch. Right? I always make money. But the issue with most people is that it's very hard to buy and sell the luxury watch. First, you need the money to buy a luxury watch, which is a bit expensive, right? Some watches, like there's a Patek Philippe Tiffany watch, sell for up to R1 million. R1 million for a watch. Most people cannot buy. But with cryptos and blockchain, you can fractionalize. Everyone can share by owning the token that owns the actual watch. You can share it, okay? And then they can benefit from the price of this 1 million going to 2 million. They can sell it based on the tokens that they hold. So that's one of the ways, fractionalizing of this kind of asset. That's what people are doing for property. I'm doing that for property as well. Because there are many properties, very high value. You know, you as a small investor, right? Let's say you have only 500 ringgit, but you want to invest in something safe. So let's not use watches, let's use property. I want to buy into property because it's very safe. But the good property is too expensive, right? The good property, let's say it's in Mont Kiara, Bangsa, very good rental yield. You want to buy, but you can't afford. But with blockchain and cryptocurrency, you can actually issue 1 million tokens. Each token, let's say it's just $1, to buy one property in, let's say, in a good location. So now you, even as a small investor, can invest safely into a high value property with good rental income, and you don't even need to take a loan because you invest within your means. Just a small amount also can. And you can spread your risk. You can buy into 10 different ones. So one don't do so well, doesn't matter because your investment is small, but you got 10 small investment equals one big investment, correct? So this is the power of blockchain technologies affecting even the real estate market. So for me, I'm doing first mover advantage, I'm doing the luxury watch market. I want to fight in this market because it's a passion of mine. And the interesting part is because now they're all NFT, they're very easy to buy. I don't need to go and buy the watch, put it in a vault, then later on I take out, go and put listing on Chrono24 to try and sell the watch on an e-commerce platform. Great for buyer, pack it, deliver, all that stress no need to do. People just buy and sell the NFT because if you own this NFT, you own the actual watch. You own the right to withdraw the watch from the vault. Because that's why the NFT got value for mine. And how I want to sell it, I want to sell it in the metaverse. So instead of just the website, we do sell it on the website. But imagine you can go into the sandbox, and then on the wall are actually all the watches. People are walking around, they can see the watches very big, they can click, they can immediately go to my online store and they can immediately buy it. All right. So this is another evolution of it when it comes to what's that called, NFTs as well. So that's a big thing. So many companies are being disrupted. I can't go through all of them. I just wanted to give you some examples which I feel might relate to you, right? But one of the things I want to highlight here is very interesting is that because of decentralization and the nature of everything, jobs in the space is evolving as well. Careers, jobs in the space. If you realize, right, I don't talk about employment very much because the reason why is with decentralization, everyone becomes a mini entrepreneur. Mini entrepreneur, this is the key word. Like for me, right, why do I have so many roles? It's because my service is like a mini service to many companies, right? So let's use an example. If you're a coder, if you're a blockchain developer, instead of working for a development company, right, and then you know, taking a salary, what is happening in this space is now they're like mini entrepreneurs. I'm a smart contract, you know, and I'm very good with smart contracts. I can write very good smart contract as a tech guy, and now I offer my services to Project A. Now, because a lot of these companies don't even want to hire full-time staff, the rules of engagement is very different already. Now you are thinking, oh, I apply for a job, I get a offer letter, you know, that kind of thing. Crypto space, no such thing. They don't exist. It's based on your talent. If your talent is good and you are very good at putting, let's say you put it into GitHub or you put it into Reddit and you can show your capability of writing good smart contract, then these blockchain companies will hire you on a per job basis. But there's normally recurring income. So they'll be like, okay, I'm going to pay you for the duration of the development. Let's say they pay you in Ethereum. Let's say like total, they pay you 10 Ethereum for the entire development, okay? And then from there, 10 Ethereum is a lot of money, like $30,000 US, right? So for the whole duration, they pay you 10 Ethereum. After that, they pay you already. Then, and then when the project is finished, then they will give you the token or they'll give you some kind of recurring income mechanism normally. Then you as a developer, your job is done. Then you go to the next guy and the next guy, or you do for 5 or 10 people at the same time. And that's what happens in the market now. Because in a decentralized world, nobody really hires full-time staff anymore. And then it's just that we need to learn how to engage, do a bit of networking, know all these companies, and that's where all the jobs come. So, like for example, the Sandbox. The Sandbox has more than 200 over team members worldwide. Nobody works in an office. They are the world's largest metaverse. They are on the trajectory to be $1 trillion business, and they have no office. They don't have employment letter, nothing. And they're so big, you know. And every one of them, especially the leads of different countries, like my friend was the MD of China, right? You know why he's the MD of China? It's not because he applied to be the MD of China, you know. He's the MD of China is because he's the biggest landowner from China. He owns the most amount of digital land. And because he's so big and influential, they said, hey, I appoint you as MD of China, okay? Just because he's the biggest owner. And he loved the company so much, he promotes so much. So you see, it's very different now, you know. It's based on your involvement and the ability to work with many different people. You can be in 10 blockchain companies at the same time, and it's normal. And you get paid. And here's the best part. I'm an advisor. I'm an advisor for many companies. I'm just doing one function, but I'm good at what I do. Every company pays me one person's salary per month. That means instead of me earning one salary from one company, I earn 5 salaries from 5 different companies, and it's all full-time salary figure because that's my value. So I actually earn 5 or 10 times more compared to just being in employment in one single company. You see the difference? Because in the crypto space, it's all about your skill. They don't care about you sitting in the office 9 to 5. They care about you delivering result. If you can deliver result and guide them to deliver result, they don't care about your time. You don't trade time for money. You trade result for money. In this is how the Web3 works. Because everyone is remote, who cares? Nobody has an office anyway. So they don't care if you're there from 9 to 5. They care about you delivering result. So if you can deliver result for 5 companies in 1 month, then you can earn 5 times because they'll pay you the same amount. They won't pay you less one. And that's the unique thing about this space. So if you're in the tech space, even marketing services, traditional businesses, any kind of vocation right now can actually be applied into the crypto space, right? And I don't have specific examples, but if you ask questions later, I would be more than happy to give you feedback on that. And with that, I think I've taken up sufficient time, maybe to leave more time for Q&A. And this is the end of my presentation. I hope that it was interesting. Maybe I pass back to the MC to maybe moderate the Q&A session. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Josh Wong, for the exposure and the sharing of knowledge regarding the blockchain. I am sure that our guests today are inspired and they are open to questions that are in need of answer. If it's okay with all, I would like to open the session for some of our guests in WebEx. If you have any question, feel free to drop your question in the Slido. The link is already provided in the chat box. If you would like to raise out your questions, you may also click the raise hand function and I will prompt you.
Yeah, I like to encourage you to ask questions that is beyond the topic is also okay, as long as it's related to blockchain, crypto, career, etc. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. There are some questions. Should I just jump into the questions, Maud, or how? Okay, let me just answer the questions I see on screen. Is that okay? Okay, so let's see, what are the importances of blockchain technology to today's development? I would say that, okay, this is very interesting. We call this the S-curve, right? And the S-curve, what it means is that at the bottom of the S, it's an adoption rate, okay, adoption rate chart, right? So blockchain technology is right now only up to 10% of the market, okay, which is at the bottom of the S. And then the S-curve, what it means is that how long does it take for it to reach 90% adoption rate in the market? It's based on how long it takes to reach the 10%. So blockchain, in order to reach 10% adoption rate, took about 10 years, okay? What this means is that 10 years later, 90% of the market will be using blockchain. If you think about that, that is quite astonishing, because that's the same curve for the internet. It took 10 years to develop the internet, and to get 10% of the world to use the internet, it took another 10 years for 90%. So similarly with I mean, internet was faster, I think, but in terms of blockchain, it took roughly around 10 odd years to get to 10%, where it is today. So if you think that 10 years later, 90% of people will be using some form of blockchain technology, then you think how important is blockchain technology to today's development. If you want to be relevant in the tech space especially, or even in finance, these two areas alone, and now coming up is games. And if you don't learn and understand about blockchain or develop something or a skill set in the blockchain space, you will definitely miss out in the next decade. Very, very straightforward. That is, and at the same time, if you do it, you will end up put yourself in a very favorable position to be what's that called, highly in demand in the workspace. Let me give you an example. A lot of people are developers, all right? And developers' salaries, starting salaries may not be very high, anything from a few thousand ringgit, maybe if you're lucky, 6,000-7,000 ringgit. But do you know what is the market price for blockchain developers, for fresh graduates? they can command up to if you're very good because it's based on talent, right? 15,000 a month. Fresh graduate. You are not going to get that kind of fresh graduate salary even in the banking sector. No way. Okay. But if you are in blockchain development for the banking sector, you can get that kind of figure. Because why? There is a massive shortage of people who can write smart contracts. Massive shortage. The market has a way big demand that the prices, it's not a fair salary to pay, okay, for developer. That means starting salary of 8 to 10,000 for most developers, you're not banking sector, is extremely high. But because there's a shortage, people pay it, right? And if you're one of those people, you will not worry about having a job because the demand is so high. So in that sense, if you have the right skill sets, the amount of money that is in this space is huge. So that's how I think you put yourself in a position of power. So I think that answers the second question as well. How does it affect, it doesn't answer. How does blockchain affect the workforce? It will change how you work. It will change the kind of work that you get, but it doesn't mean your skill set is not relevant. A lot of people who are worried are normally people whose job is an intermediary, for example, like sales, right? They think that in their skills are in sales, but in blockchain or in online business, nobody needs a salesman. But people do need digital marketers. People do need salesmen who can sell via webinar, right? Like I do a lot of selling via webinar. I'm not selling today, obviously, but I do a lot of them. I do events, I educate, and I sell, right? Because I always sell complex products, whether it's an investment product, whether it's a it's a tech product. So it's very difficult. So I need to educate and I need to sell. So I'm also a salesman. I'm very good at what I do, right? And but I have to change my game plan. I cannot just expect to do the things the same way. If I want to be a very good salesman, I need to up my game. I need to be a good presenter. I need to be able to speak to a crowd. I need to understand the methodology of selling via online. I need to understand digital marketing. So everything will evolve in terms of the way you sell. So that's where I think it will really affect the workforce. The way you do things will change. And if you're smart, you can adapt it to into blockchain as well. Next one is, what's your opinion on current Malaysian legal framework governing blockchain technologies? Malaysia is actually one of the most restrictive countries in the world. It's very difficult to issue your own tokens. Having said that, it is not restrictive at all when it comes to the development of blockchain technology. You can do as much as you want. They are very supportive. What they are worried about is people scamming, right? Using cryptocurrencies to raise money from investors illegally, and then after that running off, scams basically. So the Malaysian legal framework is very strict to protect investors. So it's actually not easy to do like issuances of tokens and stuff like that. There's a lot of legalities involved. Having said that, we are very good back-end office. A lot of back-end work processes is done in Malaysia because we have talent. But we still have a shortage of talent, okay? And a lot of these back-end services are being done here. So there's no legal issue because we are just providing the support, the technical development, even marketing, but don't market the investment of it, but the technology of it. All that is actually fine, right? So don't be afraid of the legalities, but you need to understand it. At the moment you are dealing with investor money, that is where there is a legal issue that you need to concern about. When you don't deal with investor money, you don't raise money from people, you're completely fine, right? Next one is, what are the weaknesses of blockchain technology? Right now, the weaknesses is the understanding. It's very difficult for a lot of people to understand. It's also difficult to use. Like right now, let's say I buy NFTs, right? And a lot of people want to buy NFT because it's very exciting. You can make money. I made a lot of money from NFTs, right? But I had to teach people how to use MetaMask, Phantom Wallet, then I need them to learn how to connect the wallet to OpenSea. Then I need to teach them about gas fees. They need to know about how to move Ethereum into their MetaMask wallet. They need to know what gas is in the first place, the transaction fees, So it becomes very difficult for most people, right? Most people cannot understand it. So the education side and the fact that the process is a bit difficult right now is still a weakness. And the other weakness is that in the blockchain is that it's very strict in the sense that you can't make mistakes. If you make a mistake and you send your cryptocurrency to a wrong wallet, just one letter wrong, you're never getting it back. There's no way to get it back if you make a mistake and send it wrong. So it's a very unforgiving technology. You can't make mistakes because there is no central company. If you make a transaction mistake, Visa will be able to sort something out for you. But because there's no Visa, everything is by the code, there's nothing you can do to recover mistakes. That's another weakness. What are the opportunities of fresh graduates in blockchain industry? I think I mentioned there's a lot, but you need to re-skill yourself to be relevant to blockchain technology. And that includes, like, even for PR and marketing or anyone in the business school, is to retool into understanding how blockchain companies work, what kind of marketing they require, because everyone needs marketing. It's different. So you just reskill yourself with blockchain in mind, and your opportunities will be massive. There is never enough hires in blockchain space. Security level of blockchain is actually pretty high. One of the things I wanted to explain to a lot of people is that a lot of people think that blockchain technology is key to money laundering. Actually, it's not true. This is what people believe, but actually, the biggest item for money laundering is still cash. Cash money. Physical cash is the number one money laundering vehicle because it's untraceable. You can, and that's how money laundering still works today. People are laundering money through the by cash payment system, which is why governments of the world are moving towards digital payments, because there is a traceability. All right. And the problem with most people don't understand is that blockchain is highly traceable. You can trace everywhere. There are measures in place to trace the flow of money. Unless you're an extremely skilled hacker, right? It's actually very hard to hide your trail. Blockchain has more traceability than paper money. So and then a lot of times when you see hacks, like, oh, you say, oh, blockchain is not secure, the crypto exchange got hacked. You must understand that it is the exchange that got hacked. That means that the service provider's tech is not good enough. The security level is not good enough. It's not blockchain itself. You can't actually hack a blockchain unless you have a quantum computer. Okay, quantum computing is the only thing right now that can hack a blockchain. What it means is that you need a quantum computer to hack 51% of all the Bitcoin miners in the world at the same time in order to hack a blockchain. And that's the only computer in the market that can do it right now. And how many people in the world actually owns a quantum computer? Very little. They're owned by organizations because it's the next level of supercomputer, right? So a computer capable of quantum computing, to be precise. So the security level is actually way higher than what most people believe. Okay, how does Bitcoin harm the environment? Good question. Bitcoin harms the environment is because of the nature of the hardware. Okay, so the hardware, in case you are not familiar with Bitcoin mining, is they use graphic cards. They use about 8 graphic cards or 10 graphic cards in one CPU, and it runs 24/7. So and because I'm not going to go into the details, but because the graphics card is used to resolve a cryptographic puzzle in order to verify transaction. Okay, so it runs 24/7. And graphic cards, if you play computer, runs hot. It runs very, very hot. Okay, and they will spoil one because if you run things at full speed at high heat for prolonged periods of time, it's going to spoil. Okay, so one thing is that because you're running so many cards, one mining machine takes a lot of power. One mining farm, usually about 40 over mining machines, takes about 20,000 to 30,000 ringgit worth of electricity a month. Okay, that's electric bill. So obviously power usage is very high. And because it's so hot, it generates a lot of heat. It actually contributes to global warming. It does. Very small percentage, but it does. And how does it contribute to global warming even further? It's because in order to make sure that the graphics cards don't die, they need to run aircon blasting at the Bitcoin machine, mining machine, blasting aircon to it 24/7. And you know aircons are not environmentally friendly, right? So, and that is what, and it takes more power. So you can imagine it takes power for the machine, it takes power for the aircon because Malaysia is very hot. Malaysia is not a good place to run Bitcoin mining. I don't know why so many people want to do it. Because we have to run the electric for both the aircon, the Bitcoin mining machine to cool it down. All this contributes to global warming. So that's why it's harmful. And that's why I don't do Bitcoin mining. I used to, then I realized it's really bad. Then I stopped. I do other mining, which are sustainable. That's the thing. In my opinion, will countries that has Bitcoin legalized as legal tender be leading the development of blockchain? I would say yes, it won't affect them negatively. I don't understand why people think it would have any negative effect. Some people think so. I'm not saying that you are wrong in your opinion, but there is really not much of it, because when you legalize it, what happens is this: all the crypto companies will want to move and set up shop there. Like for me, because of legal issue, right? I end up setting up a lot of businesses in Singapore, and now I set up in Luxembourg. Why? They are crypto-friendly countries. So what happens to the country? You get import of foreign direct investment. You get import of talent. You get import of new technology, all going into that country just because it is crypto-friendly. So if we are open-minded and if we put right measures to protect investors, right, being open to crypto and legalizing Bitcoin as a legal tender will bring in a lot of benefits to the country. Okay, so that is something that I think is important. Future of blockchain in Malaysia, I'm optimistic. I hope that it will grow, but it also boils down to a lot of regulation. If we over-regulate, which Malaysia seems to do most of the time, then it will be very difficult for you to grow. But does it mean that you cannot be a blockchain service provider, everything from Malaysia? No, just that you need to know how it works. Okay. What is the challenges? I think I've answered that. Mostly is knowledge, understanding, education, and of course the legalities. Those are the main challenges. Is cryptocurrency going to replace cash in the future? My answer is it's up to the government. If everything goes logically, the answer is yes. It is a much more secure form of currency. So if it's like an MYR or Malaysia ringgit cryptocurrency, US is exploring it. China is already doing it, right? They are using big crypto for the purposes of issuing their own digital yuan. They've experimented on it, so the technology is suitable for it. It's just that whether governments want to or not. So I think it's eventual. Is there any platform to learn more about blockchain? That's an interesting question. There's two ways I can tell you. One is you can be an Access member, because we do a lot of education. Access is not expensive to join. And I think it's one of the best places because we'll filter out all the scams and everything. And the other thing is that we are also doing is we are trying to build clubs in universities. So if you guys want to build a club, in UUM, for example, and you want us to support the club and every now and then provide education and stuff like that, we can. If your institution is willing to be a member, corporate member. So we already did it with one college so far. I think it's APU, and then I'm looking to do for another 2 or 3. So yes, that will probably be the best, because you get to access all the experts. Because anyone who is an expert in the space is a member in Malaysia, right? So we are the main. So that would be probably the best avenue. Will cryptocurrency impact the accounting profession? My answer is yes, definitely. I'm doing a talk to CPA Australia because they don't know how to account for cryptos and NFT. And I'm trying to explain to them how to determine the value. It has a big impact on the accounting profession. Some of it will be disruptive. Other times it's just that you have to learn how to account for it. So it's definitely a large one. Crypto and blockchain technology affect the value of ringgit and money we are having now? No, it won't affect the value of ringgit. It runs in parallel or in the side, but it doesn't affect your money at all. Your money is affected by the financial state of the country, right? And all the financial policies that doesn't change, right? It just runs in parallel. There is no involvement in government, so there's no regulation. Is that possible for you people to use crime? How do blockchains avoid that? Blockchain as a technology is a tool. It's not a governance model, right? You can introduce governance models into blockchain like a DAO, like I mentioned, and that's a form of avoidance, because a DAO can vote to criminalize and all that. And yes, like any tool, even money, you can use it for crime. Nobody can. If I say cannot means it's nonsense, right? Sure, can use for crime and that's why there are scams. There's so many scams in the crypto space, right? And that's the reason why for it. It can be used for crime. But the laws apply. Just because it's okay, here's the thing. This is the wrong thing to think that there is no regulation. It's not true. If you steal someone's IP, let's say I'm an artist and you steal my artwork, issue your own NFTs and sell it, right? It's still illegal. The existing laws apply. Okay, whatever law in the country, if it involves theft, applies. If you do a cyber crime, it's still a crime. Okay, if you use NFTs or cryptocurrencies to do cybercrime, it is still a crime based on existing laws. The laws are there to protect you as a citizen. So it doesn't mean that just because it's in crypto, there is no regulation. If there is an existing law that applies to you, you would definitely still be a criminal. That means if you use if you did something wrong based on the existing laws, even if it's NFTs or cryptos, you're still breaking the law. If you raise money with cryptocurrency, just because you say it's not regulated, it doesn't mean it's legal. Yes, it's still illegal. That's why there are laws in place for it, right? Now there's laws in place, but even when there were no laws, the existing laws apply. So you can't say that there's no governance in that sense as well. So when the blockchain doesn't have its own governance, the existing laws still apply. Even if the blockchain has its own governance, existing laws still apply. You're stealing, and you still fall under those laws, whether it's IP laws or whatever. Cryptocurrency is a bubble. I think this is a very I don't know if you can call it a bubble, because already cryptocurrencies has crashed 3 times, 4 times, and it comes back up, like the stock market. It goes up, it crashes, it comes down, it goes back up again. Is the trajectory of cryptocurrency still going to be on a long term, we're talking about 10 years, 20 years, is it still going to be an uptrend? My answer is most likely yes, based on the data, right? And bubbles are nothing to be feared unless you are a speculator. Why? Because if you are investing into the space and the technology and the space will continue regardless of the bubble. Let's give you an example. Stock market crash, price drops 80 to 90%. Actually, what is the impact to the company? Actually, nothing one. If the directors themselves did not speculate on their own stock, nothing one. Because the price of a stock doesn't actually affect the business of the stock. Same with cryptocurrencies. The price of the cryptocurrency doesn't affect the utility or the function of the cryptocurrency. So if the business and the thing about cryptocurrency projects is that because it's decentralized, right, the likelihood of it going to collapse is actually quite low. Especially in the top 20 or top 50 cryptocurrencies, because they're already well established. There's a lot of nodes, there's a lot of miners, there's a lot of participants, right? Compared to a normal centralized company. So it's centralized companies whose founders and shareholders speculated on their own tokens or their own shares. That is why they collapse and the bubble kills them, the business off. But if you're doing good business, you don't speculate on your own shares or your tokens, and you just do good business, right? Even if the bubble occurs and it crashes, it's still business as usual. Now, of course, as an investor, if you go and speculate, you go and buy high, and then it crashes, and then you lose money, then you sell, then you lose money. So that's where you need to be a good analyst, buy at the right time kind of thing. So bubbles to me in crypto, if you have a 10, 20-year horizon, you don't care. Like crypto drop, right? All my friends call me, I said, I'm very relaxed because I'm buying for a longer term. It doesn't matter. I'm still earning in the long term one. Do you have any recommendations for a good smart contract because Ethereum gas fees are too high? It depends on your application. There's many blockchains out there you can find. I don't have a recommendation. I like a few of them, but that's because I like the management. I'm not a coder, so I'm not good to tell you which is a good smart contract. But Ethereum is still the most used, and anyone that's built on using Solidity contract is still the most used in the market. So if you don't like Ethereum gas fees, then use Polygon, right? It's still based on the same language, but it's just an L2 sidechain. Okay, so I guess I've answered every question.
All right, so I hope that you answered all the participant question. So is there anyone want to ask more question to the Mr. Josh? You can raise up your hand and ask directly to him, or you can ask in the chat box also. All right, so we have one question from Shafiq. So, do you have any recommendation on where and how to start as a mini entrepreneur?
Okay. I think first and foremost, if you are new, you need to get involved in communities and start showcasing your capability. So it's a bit of a show and tell kind of thing. There's no specific path to going about it. You need to know the right people and you need to be able to showcase your talent to them. In the digital space, it's not that hard. Getting involved in Reddit communities, getting involved in NFT projects, getting involved. NFT projects are the easiest because they are smaller in size, right? They're always a backyard startup, and then you want to start building a portfolio of successful projects that you have done. NFTs are normally the fastest because they require you to write good smart contract, for example, and or do mod services. Like I'm a mod on certain Discords, and I earn free NFTs for it, which have value. Then I sell it off to make money. Yeah, that's like get involved in Discord crypto communities, and then and also in Reddit for those of you who are coders, and start showcasing, getting involved. And then after for a while, people, when they start to like you and they feel that you're very active and they feel that you have the necessary capability, then they will start to want to hire you. Going for crypto events is really big. It's very important. Actually, that's how I started, to be honest. When I was looking for business, I would go for a lot of crypto events and I would do networking there, right? And build my profile, especially when I was new. I didn't know so much about crypto that time, right? And I also wanted to learn. So as I was networking, I was showcasing my charisma, my capability, and then people liked me because I could speak. And then from there, they started to and I also learned from them. So a lot of the things I tell you is I didn't read any website, Everything I learned, right, in the crypto space has been all direct from the source one. Like this guy is doing this project, so he explains to me how it would be like, that kind of thing. So and then I learned from these guys. So and then from there, I started to do talks, and that's where I do marketing as well, because talks is a way to showcase my capability, right? Like after this session, you at least know that I'm an expert in my space. I'm showing it to you by explaining to you what I know, and I do it in many platforms. I do a lot of talks. And that's how I get my business. The people will approach me, hey, I really like what you shared. Do you think we can work and help me on my project? That's exactly how I do it. So when I was a newbie, I did networking, online and offline. Then when I got a higher level and I'm experienced and I have a track record, that's when I go into doing speaking engagements and all that, and I market. So that's for my style, but there's many ways you can do it. You can get involved in associations. Associations is very good. I think that answers the next question as well, which is how did you get more exposed on blockchain cryptocurrency? Actually, getting involved in associations and association events are very good because you will meet the people who are doing it. Like I'm going to be launching Web3 Nights. Web3 Nights for Access Association is a way for the industry people to come and mingle. When these kind of events happen, just because you're a youth or a student, you should try and join. We're very welcoming one. Yeah, okay, we talk nonsense half the time, but then when we talk logical things and smart things, it's very valuable and you're included into everything, right? We always welcome students and youth, but they don't join. And maybe because you're afraid to appear or you're afraid to join these kind of things, but when you're an association member, you'll always be welcome, for example. That's why I say association very good. It helps you to break the ice, right? And don't be afraid to be a nobody in the space. Everyone starts as a nobody, right? I was a nobody 7 years ago, 7 years ago when I started. And then you slowly expose, join events, get to know the industry people, intern in some companies or part-time job in some of these companies. Always necessary one. Like I always try to look for a part-time PA because I'm too busy, right? And I can never find a good one. You know why? Because they don't appear in these events. And you need to see their in person. No? They need to be able to handle the work. They need to be, you get a sense of it by meeting them. That's how there's no interview process nowadays. It's all based on personal interaction, right? Then only maybe an informal interview process. So to me, that's very important. Join events, join activities. Don't be afraid to participate and be a nobody. It's okay one. Associations are there to help you. So when if I do Web3 Nights, I will invite you guys, okay? So if you all don't show up, that's your fault. That's what I'm saying, right? Because at least I will help you. I'll like, okay, you want to meet who? All right, hello, this one. You know, if you want to do an internship, I'll even tell everyone, hey, if you got interns or part-timers here who want to join into it, I'll announce if you all come, okay, I'll be happy to do it because I'll be hosting the Web3 nights, and there'll be industry players there, right? And if you guys are interested, I will do that. Very easy. Just let me know, okay? Any other questions, guys?
All right, thank you. So I hope it answered the both question to Shafi and Shafika. So do you have any question that you want to ask? All right, so if I assume that there's no question, all right. So with that, I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Josh Wong, and to all our guests today. On behalf of the organizer, we truly hope that the webinar today will gain your knowledge and exposure about blockchain, as blockchain will lead a massive impact on future industry, as well as we should prepare to adapt to the changes. On this occasion, let us come together to capture this moment by getting a screenshot of all the guests today in WebEx. I humbly request that all of us to switch on our camera and take our seats for a moment. The participant are also encouraged to use the virtual background, and you can download the virtual background with the link provided in the chat box. We will wait around 1 minute until we capture the WebEx.
Yeah, you all must dare to show your face. If not, how you come to the events, right? Virtual, you know, very safe. No one's going to bite. Come.
Right, so is there anyone want to open your camera? Come on guys, it's just 1 in a million for this event, so don't miss the opportunity. We'll post the picture to the social media, so who knows, you might become famous. So I guess we'll take the picture in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smile. Again, 3, 2, 1. Smile. Right, freestyle. 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right. So I guess that's all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone. As a saying goes, to every beginning there is an ending, and now today's webinar has come to its end. Once again, thank you everyone for gracing our event with your participation. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of the organizer, we would like to apologize if we have done any mistake throughout the event. I end my duty as MC for today's event with wabillahi taufiq hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Before we go, I would like to inform that guests are welcome to fill out the attendance form. You may do so by scanning the QR code shown on the screen or by clicking the Google Form link in the chat box. For your information, the Google Form will be open for 8 minutes only. So don't forget to fill it and hurry up. Thank you again. See you in the future. Goodbye.